We're here today and we're going to break down the kite loop, specifically the kite loop transition on a surfboard. So let's get into it. I'm Evan Netsch. Thanks for tuning back in. Today we're going to break down the kite loop transition on a surfboard. For more videos to progress your strapless riding on a surfboard, tune into this channel and we've got much more to come. Let's break down doing a transition, doing a kite loop in that transition on a surfboard. Doing a kite loop for a lot of people is something very intimidating, and it's got a lot of different applications. You can do a huge jump with a big mega loop, or a kite loop can simply be a way to steer your kite through a transition. And for myself, and I think a lot of people specifically riding waves on a surfboard, it's actually something that once you get comfortable with it, it actually makes flying the kite a lot easier and can even save you in maybe some tricky situations, especially in the waves with light wind. But let's break down how you actually do that kite loop on a surfboard. This is pretty much always added in, as a transition, as a downwind transition, which is a jibe. And this can be a bottom turn on a wave. As you're carving on the wave, making a bottom turn, you're essentially doing a portion of a jibe, and doing a kite loop at the same time will give you a boost of power. Maybe that's power you need because you're very underpowered in light wind, or maybe that's extra pull to draw out that jibe and really cover a lot more ground going downwind, maybe around a section in the wave, around whitewater, or perhaps maybe your kite's falling in the sky and doesn't have a whole lot of line tension. It's too far over in the wind window where it's hard to steer it back the other direction, and it's easier to turn it down than turn it up. So the kite loop there's a lot of different reasons to do it, but the best reason of all is it's fun, and it's something different, and it can be applied to a lot of different areas in riding a surfboard. So doing your kite loop transition, the key to any kite loop is commitment. I think a lot of people look at kite loops and they think it's scary, it's a lot of pull, it's something very difficult. And the reality is, the way I see it is, instead of turning a kite left and then right, turning the kite down and then up, I'm just turning the kite left and then left again. It's two lefts instead of a left and a right. But what you want to do when you do those, say, two lefts, if you're going this way, is you want to commit. That kite's going to go straight down. And when that kite goes straight down through the power zone, it's going to have a lot of pull. And if you turn it back up to the right and that leading edge points up, sometimes the kite can tend to stall, and it takes a little time to rise. You need to sheet out for it to rise, and it can create a little less power. But when you pull it down, it's going to go deeper through the wind window as opposed to turning back up towards the edge of the wind window, and that's what's going to give you that surge of power. So when you do that kite loop, you really want to pull, and we're going to actually call it a down loop, because we're going to start with the kite high and we're going to turn the kite down. We're not turning the kite up and over. We're going to follow the kite through the turn, and we're going to pull down with our front hand, and when we pull in, we want to leave that bar in and really keep line tension. So when that kite starts pulling just a little bit, we don't want to just go shooting straight at it. If we go shooting straight at it, it's going to be hard to allow that kite to finish its turn. We want to keep line tension by not edging so hard against it that we can't hold our edge and we get pulled over the front of the board, but we also don't want to ride straight downwind, straight at our kite, where we just get basically slingshotted at it, we lose all line tension, and then the kite can't easily create its loop. So there's a balance of creating enough line tension, we're keeping enough line tension to allow that kite to turn quickly, and not creating so much resistance against it that we just feel like we can't hold our edge and we get pulled off the board. So what I like to do generally is start with the kite pretty high. You can have the kite as low as you want, as long as there's that space underneath of it to complete the loop. But generally, as you put that kite lower, that kite loop's gonna be more aggressive and have more power, especially out the exit, because it's got that much higher to climb at the end. So I would say, especially for your first kite loops, start with the kite high and start on a lighter wind day, maybe on a smaller kite where it's not gonna have as much pull. That way you can get comfortable. You can either I would certainly make the kite loop part of a jibe, whether that's going in on your Heelside edge or going in on your Toeside edge. In either case, we're going to start with the kite high, and on our Heelside edge, we're going to initiate with our bottom hand. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to you don't want to be all the way sheeted out. If you're all the way sheeted out, you don't have as much steering control. Your back lines are a little bit looser, and everything's going to be less responsive. So what I like to do is sheet in and initiate that loop, pull on my front hand, And as that kite comes around, all we need to do is get that leading edge pointed back up. And as soon as the kite starts going around, we're going to start bearing off the wind, doing our turn, keeping a bit of line tension. And as soon as we see that leading edge starting to face back up, we've completed the loop. You sheet out in the bar, that kite will rise nice and easily, and that kite has come around. Now, the tighter you do that loop, the harder you're pulling that front hand, the less power it's going to have. So it's those kite loops where you're maybe a little hesitant and you pull really lightly and it does a really big slow loop. Those are the ones that are maybe a little more scarier because they've got more pull and more power. So really commit to it. Just watch that kite, get that leading edge around. And as soon as that leading edge is pointed back up, just sheet out and you're kind of out the other side. Now, going the other way, if we're on our toe side edge and we're going to jibe going downwind, it's going to be the same principle, but we're just turning the kite now with what's kind of, it's still the bottom hand on the bar, but it's our back shoulder as opposed to our front shoulder on our heel side edge. So on my toe side edge, I'll be riding along, board nice and flat. I'm not edging into the wind. I'm not riding downwind. Kite high, just very average line tension. I'll sheet in a bit to initiate that kite turn. Start turning the kite. Watch the kite come around. I'll follow the kite through the turn. And I'll keep pulling on that bottom hand until the kite has come all the way around and that leading edge is pointed in the upwards position a bit. And as soon as it's pointed up a little bit, you can kind of sheet out on the bar, especially then at the end as you start getting a little bit of pull as the kite rises. As you sheet out, you can reset your edge and go off the other direction. So doing those kite loops, both on your heel side edge and your toe side edge in flat water or in waves, I think one is a way to keep consistent power through a transition, especially in light wind. If you're just trying to keep that momentum on a wave, it's a great way to go downwind farther around a section. And in general, it's just a way to improve your kiting and a fun way to mix up your transitions. Thanks again for listening here today. We've got more videos coming, and all we're looking to do is help everybody improve their surfboard riding, riding strapless, and obviously that a lot of this can be applied to a foil board, a skim board, anything without foot straps, or a surfboard with foot straps. So thanks for joining us. Much more to come in the future.